you just can't be afraid to fail, because that's when you actually learn.
Entrepreneurship and business ownership is a muscle that you have to build over time.
And that's the thing about business to me. It's a game. And when you can make it a game, it is so much more fun.
If you are in real estate, then this is the episode for you. We have a very special guest. This is the Founders Table podcast. I'm Stefan Bunch with
Drew Sanford.
And we have an incredible guest. It's somebody that we look up to. It's somebody that, as we have built our business, that we turn to and we're thankful for. And so we're excited to welcome Aaron Owens to the cast today.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Man, I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, man. Yeah. Thanks for taking your time to join us.
You bet.
You are kind of a big wig in our area.
I would not say that.
Everybody knows who you are.
I would not say that.
Making them blush right out of the gate.
I'm like, wow, okay.
But you've done quite a few things, and the more I get to know you, the more I hear about some of the cool things you've done. And it's funny because you pretty much partner with Adam Johnson on a bunch of things.
Right. Yep.
And when I look at your guys' story and what you're doing, it's like Drew and I, as we're partnering on different things, it's like, man, I feel like they have a really similar mindset, and so we're excited to learn from you and grow from you. But this is a podcast that's based around young business owners, people that are building things, that are wanting to be entrepreneurs. So maybe they're looking at jumping into something, but they've got families. There's a lot of different things and risks when it comes to this sort of thing. And people that are interested in real estate. So I just wanted to take some time and ask you some questions. You're obviously successful in our market and our industry. Somebody that a lot of people look up to. And so I'm excited to dive in and figure it out. And so,
yeah, appreciate it.
First of all, you are a serial entrepreneur. You've started a lot of things. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of curious, even from like a young age, what got you started in that mindset? How did you start in that game?
Yeah, so I was totally raised around small business. Nice. So my dad grew up around having multiple businesses. He was in the print industry. So, grew up around as a kid going into the print shop and helping out with projects late night, free child labor, as he called it. So I have 5 brothers and sisters, big family, homeschooled. And so, it was cool because I got to see my dad grow businesses.
That is very cool.
Go through the struggle early on. And at the time, as a kid, you just don't think anything of it, right? You just think like, this is just normal life until you get older and you realize this is not normal life. And we were fortunate enough to travel a lot when I grew up. And so that was always in the back of my mind, like working for someone else is going to like limit you on what you can do. I mean, there's obviously a time and a place. I've worked lots of jobs and paid my dues in that regard, but just always had kind of the entrepreneurial spirit, that was kind of bred in me, if you will.
Man, I think Drew and I, in a lot of conversations, we have kids, right? Mm-hmm. I've got a 6-year-old daughter. He has 3 boys. One thing that is kind of scary, and I'd love to kind of pick your brain on, is as we're building businesses, there are late nights. There's times when we're not always able to be present. Right. It sounds like you grew up in a family and a household that it got you excited about jumping into this world.
Yeah.
What, like when you think back, were there some key things that your parents did or your dad did specifically to help in that?
I mean, yeah, we learned hard work from an early age. And I think that was something that was just in our DNA. We grew up on a farm, 300 acres. We had cows and horses and chickens and all of that. Plus my dad owned businesses, and so he was really good at balancing both. He could run a business. Obviously there were some late nights, and we all just understood. Or, my mom would bring all of us kids up to the office with pizzas and we would just be hanging out there while dad was working, or we would help, and so we were a part of that. And then of course being on the farm and working that too. So it is a tough balance. Obviously, I have 2 boys as well, 10 and 7 years old. And so when you're in specifically real estate, sometimes there are seasons in your life where it's like, okay, I have to spend a lot of time and invest in what I'm doing. And sometimes it's late night showings. And I think in doing that, it makes the time that you spend with your spouse and your kids, you have to be so much more intentional about that. If you work a job, it's like, okay, well, I know I'm off work at 5:30 and I'm going to have every evening together. And sometimes when you're an entrepreneur, that's not always the case.
Yep.
Like tonight we have a new agent training, so I'm going to be busy from 5 to 7, So sometimes it means I'll go pick up the boys early and we'll go do something for a couple hours before I have a meeting. And
you're always responding to agents. I mean, we'll talk about the business in a little bit, but
for sure.
But there's no clocking in and clocking out.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's a muscle. I think entrepreneurship and business ownership is a muscle that you have to build over time. People who get into it earlier in life, obviously it's a little bit easier because you're just kind of used to that. But if you've been working a job for a long time and then you jump into business ownership, it's like kind of a shock to the system.
I also found kind of an interesting thing. Like my wife came from a background, her father worked for somebody, mother always worked for somebody from that standpoint. And then me, I was kind of like you. My father was an entrepreneur, my mom was an entrepreneur. So there was always that busyness. And like you put those two worlds together and it's like, no, I can't turn it off. And
security is hard.
Yeah. So there was a little bit in my world push and pull from that. And I think you said something really important to me is the intentionality of being with your kids, being with your wife. I did a very bad job of that, kind of my first run of businesses that I did, and almost lost my marriage because of it. And I think that's as an entrepreneur, and if you're watching this as an entrepreneur, it is easy. It's a drug. The motivation, just pushing and going and going and going and going and going.
Oh, it's fun. That's the hard thing because it's like when you got deals going, when you got business happening,
and you see success, you get a little bit more success and a little bit more success.
It makes it easier to work late hours.
And if you lose that intentionality with the spouse or the kids, it could gone.
Well, and you can also hide under the premise in your mind that you're doing it for them and you're doing it for them and you're doing it for them. But at some point, them is no longer there.
Yeah.
And so like you have to, like, there's a balance. Like there were some seasons where I would have a business or do something and I would have to shut it down because of just how much time or it was not successful and go get a job, know, and sometimes that has to happen sometimes,
and that's okay.
That is totally okay.
I bet you've learned, and that's something that I'd love to ask you about because I know you've started a lot of businesses. Making that decision, when you build a business, it's like a kid, right? Like it's like your baby that you're like developing and doing it. And to make that decision, we're closing it. That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Yeah, especially if you invested a lot of time or money and effort into it. It's one of those things. Sometimes you just have to cut bait and move on.
I'm sure the answer is yes, but is there a key? What have you learned doing that? And I bet you've learned. I don't want to speak for you, but have you learned really important lessons in that time frame, like in those moments?
Oh, yeah. I mean, every business that is not successful, you're going to learn from, and you're not going to repeat it. At least you hope you're not going to repeat it. Some big lessons for me. Probably one of my biggest mistakes I'll have ever made, and I've learned from is I borrowed money from a family member to start a business, and that business failed. And then I had a personal guarantee to pay all of that money back because I knew this person and I was going to see this person at family events. And, that was a lesson that if I could tell anybody, don't borrow money from family if you can at all, avoid that. Obviously there's some situations, but, lessons like that. Also lessons like, don't go too heavy into one part of your business when you're early on. Sometimes you need to cast a wide net to find some marketing channels. Sometimes we just get focused on one path and you're not looking at other different, other options. Yeah. And so,
I feel like, and I was just talking to somebody about this, when you're building a business, it's like a balance because for us, it's like the red Ferrari that drives by. Every time you see it, it catches your attention. And for me, I've got a few like very specific goals. And I'm going to make it a very dumb analogy, but I'm going to throw it out there.
I like it.
I love the Tesla Cybertruck. Okay. I love it. I want it. That's one of our goals.
I won't judge you.
Yeah, they just dropped. But I'll tell you what, every time I see a 2016 Range Rover, I'm like, maybe I can just
dude, that was my dream car. Dude, totally Range Rover, man.
Like, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna focus, and whenever the time comes where it makes sense, that's what I'm gonna do. But it's the same in business. Yeah. It's like we can get so distracted, but it's so true. You can't, when you're building something, you can't just stay in a very, like, you have to have the wider net and see the opportunities and look for those. Yep. I'm with you there. So can you, and you don't have to be super transparent, but
I'm an open book. I'll be as transparent as you want me to be.
Very good. Well, we're gonna ask you your social.
Okay. All right.
But can you kind of share with us your journey when it comes to entrepreneur? Like, did you start when you were 12 with a lemonade stand, or like, what does that look like, even to the point where you're at now? Have you started 100 businesses or 7? Kind of what does that look like?
So I would say, it started early on with my parents. My dad would always give us opportunities to work in his business and, obviously from an employee standpoint, but we also had opportunities to start our own businesses, and he would pay us for that business. We shined his shoes. We had, when we got to a certain age, usually it's around 13, we would get a budget together as far as like money coming in. We would read certain books. That all started at an early age. I worked in family business for a long time, and then I kind of started like small businesses kind of throughout that. First, I guess, business on my own would have been like 2012. Started like a tech business that had a digital business card. That was way ahead of its time. Nobody around here wanted a digital business card. They all just wanted a physical bit. It was great. Early. That's right. That's right.
Gosh. So you're talking like a Blink or something like that kind of vibe.
Oh yeah. This was back before any of that stuff.
Very cool.
Formatted, me and a business partner named Jeremy. Like, we worked on this thing, and another guy named Josh, all worked together on it. And over time, it just didn't work. Like, just didn't have the people around here were adopting that technology.
Missouri.
I know. We were so close. I think we were just a little ahead of our game.
That's incredible.
Started multiple like t-shirt company because my family was in the print industry. So a couple fundraising, like a fundraising business, a monthly t-shirt subscription business. I've done graphic design, obviously freelance. So I had that, web design. So then, fast forward, worked in several different businesses, worked with family. And then Adam, we have been best friends since high school. He was homeschooled, moved back to town from his family was in the military, and we just became best friends just because he was homeschooled, I was homeschooled, and that's what you do. And so, we wanted to start multiple businesses. We actually jumped into a multi-level marketing business together. So we ran Amway for a long time. We were selling products, which honestly was a great foundation. Yeah. There's good and bad with every multi-level business, but you learn a lot of leadership principles. You read a lot of good books. You have camaraderie with a team and community. So that really, I think, formed both of us along the way. Obviously, we kind of got out of that once we had kids, but that connection still stayed. And so he had been in real estate for a little bit. I was still back at the print shop working, doing graphic design, multiple failed businesses. Here I am back at the print shop. And we were on a float trip. And floating down the 11-point river, rethinking your life, because that's what you do on float trips. No cell phone service. You're just,
That's nuts.
And so he's like, well, I was there with another agent, a guy who had joined Adam's team. And me and Adam were in a canoe. And he's like, have you ever thought about real estate? And I think I don't know if I brought it up or he did. And the rest is history. I was like, man, I'm ready to do something else. So, talk about jumping out on a limb. Like, entrepreneurship obviously has its risks. And in that time of my life, that was 2016. My wife was a stay-at-home mom. We had one kid at home. I was the only income earner. At the time, I was making salary $40,000 a year.
There we go.
No money coming in, no money.
But you knew you had a paycheck, which was nice.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's why I was working. And so, talk about a leap of faith. We prayed about it. I talked with Tracy and was like, hey, what if we did this? And she's like, let's do it. So
what year was that?
2016. So 2016. I got my license full. So I jumped in real estate full time early 2017.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm just gonna pause. This is so nuts.
I know where you're going.
Drew, he came to our church.
Look at what Stefan's wearing right now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Think
finish
about
the story.
Think about this. I'm wearing black jeans, tennis shoes, and a black shirt.
Okay.
Our pastor, he's like, you need to connect with this guy, and I didn't know Drew at all.
Okay.
The first time we connected was we went to the 11-point. On a canoe, just me and him. We drove to the 11-point to do a float trip.
Way.
I was wearing this outfit.
No way.
Because I don't do that kind of stuff.
I got my truck. Right. I got the canoe on top.
You wore that on the river?
Pretty much,
just jeans.
Tennis shoes and jeans. And I'm like,
oh my
Alan,
God.
I'm thinking our pastor's like, Pastor Alan, who are you putting in the boat with? This guy's
that's when the first time we connected. That's bizarre. Wow. The 11-point. We all need to do a trip to the 11-point.
We
that's
do.
Nuts.
Yeah. We camped down there and stuff. Yeah, that's crazy. What are the odds?
That is bizarre.
So anyway, 2017, then jumped in on Adam's team in real estate just as an agent on his team.
Okay.
He had been on a team before and then started his own team and grew that. And we can talk about Alpha whenever, but it's kind of the history of entrepreneurship.
I love it. I love it. One of the things that we say a lot around here, we actually have a podcast on it, is called Failing Forward. And in business, you just can't be afraid to fail because that's when you actually learn. Like if you're not taking risks, if you're not
like
failing,
if you don't mess up, like you're really not going to,
That's right.
And what you've created today, all those lessons, like you're putting into place, you're bettering your family, like bettering the business. And that's why we're following you when it comes to the real estate stuff. And so
I don't think we would have the business that we have, or even the other businesses that are successful, if we hadn't gone through all of that other stuff.
Yeah.
And so some people are like, man, why are you're so successful in this business, whatever. Well, let me tell you the journey of failures that has
Isn't
gotten
it funny
to that
when
point.
people like look at you like, oh, you've done that. It's like, man, if you just knew
the cost and
absolutely.
the journey.
And it's just
heartache.
God's timing, it's just, his provision throughout all of it. So.
Very good. Well, when we were launching our group, Alpha stood out to us immediately because obviously the mindset, the mission, the vision for who Alpha is, and we'll talk about a little bit here, but also it's a really like agent friendly brokerage. Yeah. Like you can tell it's you give the leeway for us to do things. Obviously, we have to be compliant.
Sure,
but you give us the leeway to do
when
things.
you are.
Is this conversation happening? Us compliant?
So in 2019, you and Adam were on a team. You decided we're going to break away. We're going to build a brokerage here in Springfield. So what was the initial steps for that?
Yeah.
And then what was your kind of guiding star on what this was going to look like?
Yeah, great question. So we had both just kind of reached a point on our team. We were at a previous brokerage that really promoted teams, and we were doing pretty well. We were in the top, of the teams at the brokerage. But there was a couple things. Number one, we felt like we were just kind of a number there. That was just kind of, their process, and that was fine. We weren't officing out of their office. We were kind of doing our own thing. We had our own marketing anyway, so that's one side of it. And then also we felt like there was a large opportunity in Springfield because there's a couple large brokerages, and then there's quite a few smaller mom and pop brokerages, and we wanted to be somewhere in the middle. So our goal was to be, enough agents where people knew who we are. They saw our signs, they saw our marketing. We had some stability there, but small enough that me and Adam could still have a relationship with every agent.
Show up to things like this.
Exactly. Yeah, you start getting 500, 600 agents. It's just tough to do. Not saying it's impossible, but it's just tough to do. So that kind of just, we looked at, hey, do we build a big team here and go this direction and stay with the brokerage, or do we just go out and start our own thing? And so, we prayed about it, we felt good about it, and so we just jumped out on faith. And we created the brokerage selfishly with the things that we wanted in a brokerage. Yeah. So we just sat down and we're like, okay, if we were to create the perfect brokerage for us, this is what it would be. First, faith and family. Like, we want our faith to be relevant, and we're not afraid to talk about it. And our families, like, we want our kids and our spouses to be able to come around to events, to come to the office, not be afraid of what they hear or see, and that's a big thing. Like, that was important to us. We wanted our relationships to be more important than real estate. Like, we wanted to build a relationship with our agents, and our agents feel like they could build a relationship with their clients. That's more than just the commission check. We don't care how much volume you do at Alpha. Like, honestly, if you want to do one deal a year and that will help your family, it's perfect for us. If you want to do 200 deals, that's perfect for us too. Like, we'll help you get there. And then there's a few other core values, just, doing whatever it takes and making sure we have honesty and integrity and, some of those things. So we just designed this out, and we're like, all right, let's do this. Let's see what happens. And our goal for the first year was just me and Adam to have a brokerage, and it'd just be us two. And we just nailed down some of the details and good to go. Well, fast forward, obviously people started getting wind that we had started it, and we had made friends with people. And so we ended our first year, I think, with like 20 or 25 agents. Wow. And we were like, this is crazy.
That's
like,
nuts, yeah.
This is amazing. Well, then obviously timelines, here we go. That was January 2019. We went through 2019. What happens in 2020? COVID hits.
My world's ending.
That's
literally.
right. And at first, literally, we were like, okay, this could be bad.
Where we're at,
we're just starting, and this could be a train wreck. And it was the exact opposite. It was God's timing that we started when we did. a lot of people got into real estate in 2020 and 2021, and it just grew from there. And, so fast forward, we're 6.5 years. We'll be 7 years in January of 2026.
Okay.
We've got about 170 agents now.
Very cool.
Different levels of part-time, full-time, and everywhere in between.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's
What drew me to you guys is I feel like I've owned a lot of businesses, things like that. So I kind of look at like motivations that people have.
Sure.
And I think you guys really allow a high achiever to come to you and just let it rip.
Right.
You guys are there. We can have conversations. You can get wisdom from you guys.
Sure.
But on the same token, you guys step out of their way and let them go.
Absolutely.
From that standpoint. I think that's an interesting, I think in real estate, like most agents don't make money. Right.
Sure.
Just fact of the matter. I think
there's what, 2,700 agents in our market.
somewhere around there. Yeah. I mean, during COVID, it ballooned up to over 4,000 agents,
Whoa.
So yeah.
But I think you have to be in the top to really have a career of it. Now you have stay-at-home moms or people that do it part-time, stuff like that. Like I don't really count that. I'm saying like if you want to be an
full-time
agent,
career agent.
I think the top 5 or 10% is really the ones that are making the money. And I think a brokerage like yours, where if you can handle your own marketing, you can handle your own stuff, you can do your own thing.
Sure.
Obviously, you can lean on your guys' brand that has a great reputation, stuff like that in the area. But I think as an agent, like if you're that type of agent, everything you guys do is set up, like you said, if we were going to do it, this is how it would be.
Right.
And I think if you're a real high achiever that's at different groups, different places, like I think Alpha is such a great fit for that type of person. I think it's really neat to see.
Yeah, and we understand we're not the right brokerage for every person.
Yeah.
Because we just created for what we wanted, but we are very agent focused in the fact that we keep your expenses low. We're not raking you over the coals for fees. There is no monthly fees. Like that's a big part of it. But then also it's just kind of a buffet when it comes to, trainings and events and marketing, and you just kind of take what you want. Yeah. And then you can do your own thing, or you can use what we have and, kind of take it from there. There's not one path to success through real estate at Alpha. It's literally just based on what your goals are.
Absolutely.
And I think you guys nailed it, like from a standpoint of like the big companies, the Keller Williams and things like that. If you want to come be on a team and do that,
sure.
Or even the mom and pops.
Absolutely.
He kind of came from a small local one.
Right.
And I mean, I there is that, but you guys, I mean, I don't know there's another group like you guys that really position right in the middle to do exactly, if that's you as an agent, you're looking at it going, man, I'd fit into that.
Yep.
Like Alpha, I think you guys nailed it from what the vision was from that standpoint.
You're creating a platform for the business owner mindset agents.
That's right.
And for people that aren't in real estate, once you get your real estate license, individual, team, whatever, you have to have it held by a broker. Right. And the broker's job is the worst job, in my opinion. It's just to take on all the liability.
It's not that bad, but yes, you're right.
And so all the compliance and so it goes through the brokerage. So whether you're individual or team, you have to be within a brokerage. Right. And so as an agent, the reason that I think Alpha for me really spoke to me is because, first of all, the agents that you were attracting were the ones that I like to work with in the industry. Because, I mean, the industry is small. We say there's so many agents, but
still small.
Productivity-wise, like you're working with a lot of the same ones.
Right.
And when I would work with Alpha agents, the first thing I noticed was they cared about their clients. Like you could tell in conversation, that they really care about their clients more than the transaction. They were going to be creative. They're going to try to find a way. And I think a big part of that is because the very clear mission that you have. Like every time a new agent comes to interview, they're getting this like, this is who we are, and we're not going to adjust on that for you. You don't have to line up perfectly with it. But you guys are so clear on that and unwavering that I think it probably pushes certain people away, which is not a bad thing.
No, definitely not a bad thing. Yeah, that's the hard part that nobody talks about. Like, we have had to tell agents no, just because we felt like that it would not line up with our culture. They would not be happy there. We would not be happy. Yeah. Like this is a key thing. Me and Adam do zero recruiting. So we have never called an agent and said, you need to come to Alpha. And that's important to us because we want to just take care of the agents that we have. And those agents are out talking to other agents. They're the ones who are promoting, the brokerage. And if we take care of them, other people will hear about that and come to us. And so, yeah, absolutely. Like we're very protective of the culture that we've created, because it's hard work to get there.
It's worth protecting for sure.
It's worth protecting. And then having a business that's sustained over multiple seasons in real estate when markets have been up and they've been down, that's also important. Like you want to be a part of a brokerage that withstand,
Yeah,
a lot 100%.
Of that. And has a footprint on the area too.
Absolutely.
And you guys do a great job with marketing, obviously, on that end.
Appreciate that.
That's your side, right?
Yeah, that's right. Background, yeah. Let's create a logo for that, yeah.
When it comes to a lot of the people that we interact with that listen to this are building businesses, maybe not in real estate, but I think it's pretty crazy. From 2019, going through a pandemic to today, you scaled from 0 to 170 agents, also some employees in there.
Right.
What were some of the steps that you took? How did you scale that in such a way that it seems like, and I might just not know this, but it seems like you retain agents really well.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a ton of turnover. So how have you built that while also keeping those relationships? And just like, what are some of the very basic like structure things? When did you decide to get your building? Mm-hmm. When did you decide to bring on certain staff? Sure. Things like that.
Okay. Yeah. There's lots of good questions there.
There's 17 questions in that question.
No, I'll kind of get to them. I think it's very important when you're starting a business, and I know a little bit of you guys' story as far as how you're building your business, and that's totally fine. Every business is different. But me and Adam we chose to start a very lean business as far as what are the things we could do.
Drew couldn't work for you then.
Yeah. But see, like,
opposite.
it's a different tactic. It has success both ways. For us personally, I think we were both probably a little bit timid and gun shy on spending a lot of money before we made money. And so that caused us to do a lot of free things, to really get marketing out and get word out. And it worked for us. Mm-hmm. May not be the same for everybody, but, I feel like money management is usually what takes most business owners out of business. We run our businesses very lean. We run our personal lives lean. And there's a reason for that, is just because we want to have margin in our lives where we're not super stressed about that part of it. So for us, that was the key there. So we started by renting a space. There was a four spot strip center. We were already officing out of one of them when we were a part of our previous brokerage. And so it was natural for us when we started the brokerage just to stay there.
So you just moved next door to your previous brokerage?
Well, no, sorry. Our previous brokerage had a office building.
Okay.
Different.
We had
our own space.
Okay. That's like, wow, you're just going next door.
Yeah, no, I don't know if we could do that. So we just leased that space and we got a good deal on it. Well, then, over time, one of the other units came available and pretty soon we just took over the whole thing. And when we did that allowed us to scale a little bit easier. Obviously, we wanted to own a building. We wanted to build a building at some point, but it's very cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
We didn't want to put that stress back on our agents. Like, we got to raise the cap or we got to raise money for this. So we just stayed there. So from 2019 to 2022, we just leased this space until we got to a point, like, honestly, we just had zero room. Like we were packed in there. We couldn't have meetings in there. There was too many people.
Growth too. You've got to have the space. Yeah.
And once again, it's just God's timing and God's provision. Found an off-market commercial property. We had kind of put some feelers out with some commercial agents, found one off-market, and that's where we're at now on Ventura.
Great. Yeah. It's a great space too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we love it. We bought the building, got a good price on it, got a decent rate on it, and, it's a place we'll probably stay for a little while, and then who knows, maybe build a building in the future.
Very good. Now, when it came to staffing as well, what were some of your key indicators of like, now is the time to pull the trigger? Was it your time? Was it a certain income? Like, what did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely time. Income wise, once again, we've kind of stayed lean on our staff. Like we have 170, agents, and technically we have 2 employees. Me and Adam are employees of the brokerage, but we have 2 other employees other than us, which is crazy to think about.
It seems efficiency and effective. Like that's what that screams to me.
That's right. I mean, we literally just kind of found the areas that me and Adam could handle and felt comfortable handling those things without overextending ourselves and sacrificing family and sacrificing a lot of that to make sure we had the right bandwidth there. And then we did bring in, we always had someone who worked up front. We've usually had someone who's done compliance or, contracts and things like that. And then we've just slowly over time just kind of, honed our process and our skills to where we can balance a lot of that. There's a lot of rinse and repeat. And I think you said it maybe, or maybe you did. Alpha is really attracts like business owner type agents that are not employee-minded agents, they're business owner agents. And that basically just allows us to be there as a support system, but not like a full-time staff needs to be there 24/7.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
There's a lot of agents, and we were one of them. We don't want to pay for additional trainings. Like, we don't want to pay for all these fees that have to do with all that stuff. We're planning on having our own space. And Alpha has some really cool spaces that agents can rent too.
Oh, yeah.
But just in general, we were like, man, it seems like in the real estate world, brokerages and just anything, like, they can just kill you with fees and all these different small expenses. And there's always a catch to something. And so just the clarity and just, man, this is who we are, cutting, like, black and white, cut and dry. This is it. And that was really helpful for us as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a benefit that we wanted, is to have no monthly fees, you know, because if you're an agent and you sometimes have gaps between closings, or you're a new agent, so it takes a while to get started. If you constantly have a few $100 every month that you're paying, obviously you're already paying stuff to the board, and then you're paying us on top of that. We were just like, okay, how can we figure out a way to eat those costs and then just have a one-time cap that you pay back on closings? And so it's worked for us, you know?
Right. Yeah. Whether from a failure or from a huge win or a small win, what's one of the key lessons that you've learned with Alpha and the brokerage specifically?
I mean, I would just say the number one thing that has worked for us is just, we set on day one what we wanted and the culture that we wanted and the mindset that we wanted. And we have not deviated from that. Even if a multi-million-dollar producer wanted to come join, that was not a good fit, if that makes sense.
So you're standing.
So staying true to culture, like, every time we've had someone maybe that has not joined Alpha that we're like, man, that would have been awesome. Later on, we've just gotten confirmation like, wow, okay, that was the right decision in that time. Yeah. So I would say, like, culture, make sure, like, that is a huge part of what you're doing as business owners. Make sure you have, you know, you have your core values and you have your mission statement. And those aren't just things that are pretty that you put on a wall. Like, those are things that everybody understands and they know. Most of the agents of the office probably know a lot of our core values just because it's who they are and they know us, you know? Yeah. So I would say, you know, make sure you stay true to that. You know, mistakes along the way, like, we've definitely had some mistakes, like, whether that be hiring, you know, maybe at the wrong time or something like that. But overall, like, I feel like we've done really well. Once again, we live in a very lean business, so that allows us to pivot and make changes. And, you know, we've bought leads for agents, and okay, that doesn't work. Let's scale that back. And, you know, we've tried to offer different events or different things like that. And okay, that's worked or that hasn't worked. And so just always changing. You know, one of our core values is always innovating and improving. Yeah. So we don't want to say, well, that's the way we've always done it, right? We want to say, okay, how can we make this better? Do we need to make changes, or, you know, double down on that?
Yeah. Drew and I were just talking about how, like, our culture, it's really important for us to know the why behind what we're doing. Yeah. And I think more so than some of the things we offer, whatnot, like, understanding the purpose behind a team, a brokerage, a business, whatever it is so key. And the rest of the things kind of will line themselves out.
It just makes your job easy. If you show up to your business trying to be someone that you're not, trying to follow core values that you don't believe in,
that you don't implement in your own life,
right? You are just going to hate it. Like, and it will not be successful. Like, there may be some temporary success. You may make a little bit of money if it's a good idea or something, but if you're loathing, like, being a part of this business because of everything that it stands for, you're not going to be successful. And, you know, I want to be able to take care of my family. I want to be a good representation for, you know, my faith and my country. And I want to be able to lay my head down on a pillow at night and feel good about it and get up the next morning and excited to do what I'm doing. And honestly, real estate for me has been that. Like, it's fun. I enjoy it. I've never regretted it. You know, starting Alpha has been very enjoyable. You know, I get to hang out with great guys and gals, you know, that care about other people and they care about those relationships, and it just makes my job easy.
So did you ever have a time that you're like, I made it? Because, I mean, if you've started businesses, success, fail. They, you know, some of them pop for a little bit and then it kind of festers out. When did you say, I've made it? Or have you even said that? Do you feel like that?
That's kind of it's a loaded question, you know, because I think there's different levels of made it. I think for me, in my age right now, in my late 30s, I know I'm old, I feel like for me right now, yes, I feel like I've made it for this level in my life. I am not satisfied with what I want long term. But yes, like, I cannot not look at my life and say, man, like, I've got a healthy marriage that is awesome. And we've been married for 16 plus years, and I've got 2 beautiful boys, and we've got great school, and our family's well, and our business are well. Like, that to me is I've made it. I'm also an entrepreneur, so I'm always thinking, what's one other thing we could start or do? And, this is kind of interesting. I'm a coffee fan. I love coffee. I always said to myself, I know that I made it when I can afford just to go get coffee anywhere I want every morning.
Okay.
Like, as small as that is, if I go buy a coffee every day and $5 every day, like, to me, I'm like, all right, I made it, you know? So that's like a small thing, I think, for me, when I was like, okay,
that's cool.
I can get coffee now.
That's a funny question I ask people, just because it's like you get so many different answers from it, because everybody's, does that mean I have $20 million in net worth? Does that mean I've got X dollars in the stock market and I can retire? Does that mean, what is that? Is it, I love that your first thing is I have a healthy marriage. You started off with that. That was the first thing you said. I have a healthy marriage. So I think it's cool seeing everybody's differences.
I think also, just from conversation with you, it seems like gratitude is one of your key, like whether you say it or not, like you're just always thinking in that lens. And I think that whatever situation you're in, to have the ability to have gratitude. Like I was just listening to a podcast where it was an NFL player, and he similar question, when did I make it? And he said, very similar to you, he said, when I can go to the grocery store and not care about like counting the dollars, like I know I can swipe the card and I can afford my groceries this week, right? And it's the same thing. I feel like all of us, good, bad, whatever situation, if we can lead with that gratitude, then it helps us throughout the whole perspective.
100%.
I've got another question for you. When it comes to some of your businesses that struggled, what was the points where you said, all right, I'm going to move on from this, or I'm going to start something new? Was there, like, when you look at your business, we have conversations with people that are like, man, I feel like I'm struggling right now and I'm afraid.
Stefan's leveling up Elevate.
Yeah. Hey, let's go.
We are, this is for me.
Consulting. Elevate Consulting.
But when you build something, I mean, it's a vulnerable thing, because you put it out there and you put your name behind it, and it's something that, like you said, it's your baby, but it's also like it attaches to your personality sometimes. And so when you're needing to pivot or move on, like what did that process look like as well?
I mean, first off, if you are planning on being a business owner and an entrepreneur, you have to get rid of your pride. Like there cannot be any pride, because a business is purely income coming in and out. And then it's also purpose on, your career and things like that. If those two things are not working, like, you have to be able to say, this is not working. And I don't really care if somebody's like, oh, there he goes, he's closing another business down and starting another one. Like, you just have to, this is your business, your career, your future, whatever it is. And so I'm pretty logical when it comes to business. Like, if it's not making money, like that's my first thing right there. Like,
there's a red flag.
That's right. Yeah. Like, I get my fulfillment through my faith and my family. I like, career wise, yes, like, you have to be fulfilled. I just talked about that if you're going to do something long-term. But if it's not making money, like, you really do have to cut bait or reassess or change some things. And so that was pretty easy for me, I think, on some of the businesses where it was just like, this is just not working. It's probably not going to work based on like either the market or the trajectory of the business.
I think that's a mega hard lens to look through, though, because I think, like you're saying, I think a lot of people get so emotional attached, and I think that's
where I go back to in your identity, right?
Yeah, like, it is. And I think people are logical or they're emotional, right? And I think that's like a big part of their life, how they make decisions that they do.
Sure.
And I think as a business owner, at some point, it's the data points, it's the KPIs, it's the things like that. And if you can get your business into that box where you could check those off, then you can kind of game the system to learn how to make more or less, or, win where you need to win or cut out where you need to cut out. And I think when you have emotion in it, it clouds the vision per se.
100%.
With that.
I mean, is there any situations where emotion can't destroy something? I mean, we're emotional beings. 100%. And like, you do, like, being emotionally intuitive and knowing yourself and knowing other people, absolutely, that's huge. It's key in marriage, in relationships, in business. But like, for those of you who have a business that you have just been like hitting a brick wall, and maybe you're starting to feel like this is not working, like, if pride is the only thing keeping you in it, you've got to like look at that pretty strong.
Yeah. I've done a number of businesses as well. And it's like, they're like, you hit that time and you're like, I can tell you when, where, how. You have that conversation in your head. Like, is this really,
absolutely,
is the juice worth the squeeze in this situation?
Yeah.
And when you start thinking about those, it's time to really, in my opinion, start writing stuff down and putting it in writing and talking to your spouse, figuring out, get your allies around you and figure out what to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was also very much a side hustle guy. So a lot of the businesses that I ran was on top of or outside of what I was also doing to make money. And I think that was huge for me because like this wasn't my only source of income. This was something that I did on my second job, which would have been like kids go to bed 8 to midnight, working on something like some of that stuff I feel like is easier. I encourage everyone to have a side hustle. Like everybody needs to have a side hustle.
Especially when it's like something fun. It's like,
absolutely.
Why not
find something
money?
you love and just play. I mean, it's a game. And that's the thing about business to me. It's a game. And when you can make it a game, it is so much more fun. And if you can addition to or compound stuff or stack stuff on each other, for a while we had lots of businesses and we had a root business and it really paid for the next business and then that paid and got going. And when you do that, you roll that into the next business, next business. And the next thing you know, 5-6 years down the road, you're like, oh my gosh, I got a lot of stuff going.
That's right.
And then it's the people, right? And in my world, we stuck a lot. We found we were very blessed with finding awesome general managers to run stuff and to be able to have good people to, all right, I'm going to take my eye off this ball. You've got my back. I'm going to the next one and then stack and then stack and then stack. And
everything you learn from those businesses makes the next business you start easier. Me and my two brothers have a pickleball business. That's completely outside of real estate, nothing to do with it. But a lot of the stuff that I've learned having the business and, all three of us, both my brothers, we're all entrepreneurs. We have our own businesses. We do this. And so it was easier for us to all just jump in and say, okay, you take this, I'm taking this. Like we know what to do here. And so, makes it easier.
Very good. All right. I like asking this question to people that are high achievers just because I want to copy them.
Okay, perfect.
But with our agents,
R&D, rip off and duplicate.
Yes. We talk a lot about personal brand, not in a sense of even what we care what people think about us, but when you're in marketing, when you're building your brand identity, it shows you who you are, right? And so for us, we talk to our agents a lot about like, what's the 5 things if somebody saw your Facebook or if they heard anything about you, what's the 5 things that they would see about you? So for example, for me, I'm like, I want to be known as a Christ follower, husband, father. I like the Chiefs a lot, so there's that. But business owner, like elevate, like those are kind of the things. If somebody's scrolling, they see that, then they can pick up on that. So when it comes to you, what are your like 5 things that
I'm pretty sure you and I are the exact same person. It's like, what is it? The thing on Instagram that you put that's like the top of your page. Like literally bio. That's what I have. Yeah, like Christ follower, family man, entrepreneur, investor, coffee addict, Chiefs.
There you
go. Those are definitely things that I think people would hopefully pick up on, and it's easy because those are things I enjoy and probably, people see that. Have you guys ever, do you guys use ChatGPT very much?
Yeah.
For anything?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I use it for everything, personal business. Okay.
Yeah.
There's like a prompt that you can ask ChatGPT to basically tell you everything about yourself. And it literally just goes through everything you ever asked it and all that stuff. And it will give you like a whole breakdown, which is kind of eye-opening. Yeah. So if you ever want to use the prompt, I'll get it for you. But that was kind of cool because like it did pinpoint stuff because I used ChatGPT for like Bible study stuff. I've asked it questions about parenting, like marriage, like all this stuff. And it just goes down through the list of things that like, I noticed you do this and I noticed you do this. I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool. So,
that is cool.
There you go.
So obviously you have your North Star locked in.
Yeah.
As you were building businesses, we talked about it a little bit earlier. When you start to stack wins, it gets addicting.
Oh, 100%.
And it can easily like blur where your focus is at all times. As you've been doing this, how have you kept your North Star? How have you kept your family, wife, the things that are the most important, like steady? Or have there been times where it has been difficult to do that?
So I would say, difficult. I mean, this is maybe a little cliche, but like, me and my wife were like made for each other. Like we are perfect for each other. It's like, everything anybody ever wants. Okay. So like for me, that is obviously we invest in each other as far as our relationship goes, but that is an easy relationship.
An easy part of your life.
Absolutely. Like never any doubt there. Being a dad and being a parent obviously has challenges, like different ages and stuff like that. I feel like, early part of the boys and, I'm getting to a point now, 7 and 10 years old. It's my favorite part of being a dad, like favorite age. Probably shouldn't pick that, but it's just the best. Like we play sports and we have good conversations and I'm not changing diapers anymore, and things like that. So like, that's pretty awesome. I know I'm like veering off from your question, but early on when I decided to jump into real estate, Carter was 2. And I remember having a conversation with Tracy, like, hey, here's the deal. I'm going to go to commission only. I'm leaving a $40,000 salary. We have no other income coming in. But let's commit to this for 3 years before Carter turns 5, because of those memories, usually kids don't remember a lot of that, right? So, he's not going to remember if I'm working a lot of weekends or nights. Like, if you and I are on the same page with this, like, let's commit to it. And we did. And during that time, I think, it was like, I have permission to go and work as hard as I could. And I just soaked up all the knowledge that I could from a mentor, Adam, at the time who'd been in real estate. I also had a couple other mentors. And I just, kind of burned the ships behind me and had permission to do that. And so during that time, I feel like my North Star kind of became my career to try to build this, but it was in a way of like,
it's a season of life.
It's a season of life. And I had committed to that season of life, And so like,
how old were you? Like, what was it? What was your age in that time frame?
Let's see. So 2017, I was 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think it's so interesting. Like, I think when you especially we'll get a lot of young people talking to us. And to me, it's like that 30 to 45 number is so important. Like you need to make hay when you can.
That's right.
And like 20s, go play, have fun. You can do stuff.
You're learning.
I mean, you can listen to Gary Vee. Yeah, you're young when you're 70. Yeah, you're right. But but if you can stack all that stuff and you can actually start getting your retirement lined out, you can start doing that. And if you can do it when you're earlier, great. I mean, we all have friends that went to college, got a good job, saved half their paycheck, and they'll be done at 45, whatever. But I think at the end of the day, like there is time to do that. But man, that 30s, late 40s, and it's just interesting because it's so odd when you talk about God's timing. Like you get some of the dumb lessons out of the way, you get the stuff. And like, I think if you're just a student of the word and a student of business and you've read and you've acquired and you've learned lessons,
learn how to talk to people,
that 30s is such a fun thing to do, and not that you can't do it in your 40s, because you absolutely can, but that's such a sweet spot to be where you're really making something as an entrepreneur, really starting to find your identity and hit in that time frame. So that's really cool.
You nailed that. I mean, a lot of people look at it and you may be in your late 30s or your 40s and you haven't started this stuff. And like, obviously there's tons of opportunities for side hustles and getting into stuff like that. But you're right. Like if you're young and getting started, like I joke, like, man, I wish I got in real estate when I was 18, 19. We have some of these kids joining Alpha that are like so young.
Yeah, nuts.
But I don't think I would have been successful. Like I would have had to stumble through all of it. And like, so there is benefit there, but
I think about that a lot as well, but I'm also like, man, if I didn't have the roles prior to this, then I wouldn't know how to be a leader. I wouldn't know how to have a conversation. Like there's so many things, and you look back and you're like, man, I'm thankful for God's timing on that.
100%.
So you're 39?
I'm 37. I'll be 38.
Okay, 38. All right.
Yeah.
So now let's travel to your deathbed.
Okay, nice. Will you be wearing black?
I'll be wearing black.
Okay, perfect.
Don't worry.
Perfect.
So at the end of your life, your kids are in their hopefully 70s.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
You ask them a question. I built this business, all of these things. I cared about the Lord. I cared about your mom. I cared about you guys. I wanted to build something that was a legacy. What does that legacy left look like for you?
That's so good. Okay, so legacy, like that was a huge buzzword growing up. My parents loved that. So that was kind of in the forefront of our mind. They, worked on us as kids, like to learn those things like people skills and, having vision and things like that. So actually just recently, 2 or 3 years ago, me and my wife sat down and we're like, okay, let's develop what this looks like and actually put pen to paper. So we developed what's a thing called the Owens Pursuit. And we have that on our wall in our house, and it's a statement. It's a list of statements or mission, core values, and then it's verses, Bible verses to back that up. I do have that. You care if I read it?
Yeah.
I won't read the whole thing, but some of the bullet point things that we have is, number one, we seek God and are kingdom-minded. We sincerely love people and give grace. We speak positively with joy and gratitude. We selflessly serve and give to others. We are self-disciplined and humbly take responsibility. We stretch towards our dreams, and we spend time together even when we don't have to. And so we just kind of put, these are the things we care about. My wife is really good at writing, so she helped kind of organize some of those things. And that's, if I could sum it all down to one statement, where this kind of started was Andy Stanley is a pastor and writer. If you guys have ever listened to his stuff, super good. But he has a parenting book and series. And one of the things that he said is like, I will know that I've made it when, or my goal with parenting, I guess, North Star is I want my kids to want to spend time with God, our family, and each other when they no longer have to. And like, for me, that's it. Like, as long as my kids, they have a relationship with God and they want to come hang around us old parents and their siblings, and like when they no longer have to, that's perfect for me. So we kind of incorporated that, and that's kind of what that looks like. The Owens Pursuit.
That is cool.
Yeah.
It really reminds me. Do you know Josh Stewart?
Oh yeah.
With Hook Creative.
Yep. Actually, he kind of did the same thing. Yeah.
Because he's building brands for businesses. He's like, man, I'm building these brands for all these businesses and identity for their context. Why don't we do this for our family? That's what matters twice as much, or infinitely more than businesses. Man, that's super cool.
Yep.
I think that's cool. I think, and as we talk to high performers, I feel like a lot of people have things written down that are goals that they're working toward. Yeah. I'm learning that. That's good.
There's a balance with that too. This is something that I discovered because I spent a lot of my 20s and 30s, as an entrepreneur, every single year setting new goals and pushing and pushing. And sometimes there's a trap of not being content with what you have and not being grateful and always wanting more. And I feel like that was a struggle for me that I've had to overcome, is like, there's been some times where I just look at him like, you know what, if my life does not change from this year to next year, I'm going to be so happy. Like, this is the goal. And so like you mentioned, have you made it? That's kind of that. Like, I'm content. Like, I'm super content. Obviously, I want to strive for more. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm competitive. But at some point, you do have to kind of take a step back and be like, you know what? I'm incredibly blessed. Like, this is, I'm content. So, when you go to set your goals, also take a step back and be like, man, if none of this changes, I'm good.
That's so true. And just being born in the time that we're born, in the country that we're born in.
Absolutely.
Like, we're playing it with house money. Like, it's
100%.
Like,
yeah,
we have the baseline to have everything we need. It's pretty crazy.
Yep.
Do you think, not to be super personal, but that you shared, could you send that if somebody asks about 100%. Building a template for their family or whatever?
Absolutely.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Very good.
Happy to provide that.
Well, man, thank you for joining us. I did want to just give you a second. Could you explain for Alpha, back to Alpha stuff?
Sure. Yep.
Somebody that's thinking about joining real estate or getting their license, can you kind of walk through one more little, we really shared a lot about Alpha, which has been awesome, but could you share how they could contact you if maybe they'd be interested in having a conversation about joining Alpha as well?
Absolutely. Me and Adam both would love to sit down with anybody who's interested in jumping into real estate. Even if you're just kind of thinking about it, haven't even started classes, that's totally fine. Best place to reach me, I'll give you my cell phone number on here, 417-839-4584. I don't care. You can text me. You can reach out to me, email, Instagram, go to our website, whatever. But if you want to sit down, we'll sit down, talk about real estate. We'll talk about Alpha. We'll make sure all of that lines up. We'll go over how we handle training and marketing and, the splits and all that kind of stuff. If that all sounds good, the process of getting registered with Alpha is pretty simple. And then you are a business owner. So we provide things. And if you want to take part in it, great. And if you don't, that's okay.
It's great. Well, hey, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys. I will say too, for those of you guys who have been listening to Stefan and Drew, they are building really cool stuff. Like what you guys have done on the team with Elevate, it's been fun to watch. Obviously we're kind of taking a backseat to it. But Stefan got to speak at a lunch and learn that we had at Alpha and just kind of talk about his heart with teams. So there's lots of good content, just from your experience, and obviously Drew bringing in more of the business experience, in this perfect marriage partnership, because it is a marriage, good, bad, or otherwise. They've done a great job. And so I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your heart, number one, for the Lord, and then also for other people. And just, you can tell when a business is starting caring about other people and not just about money. There's just something in discernment, I think, in people that it kind of repels them from that. And I think for you guys kind of have more of a magnetic draw for people. So keep it up, man.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Very kind words.
We paid him $1,500 to say that.
Right. That's right. $1,500. That's it.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Hey, well, thank you for joining us today. Reach out to us if you'd like a resource about your kind of family statements as well.
Yep.
We'd be happy to share that. And if you're interested in joining Alpha or Elevate, let's reach out to us as well.
Shameless plug.
All right. Thank you.